Hey fellas, Onish here, and welcome back to With a Y, and if I say the name of the game Roblox, do you have the fear of God stricken into you immediately? That's how I was with that game for a while before I started playing it in my 20s. Kind of hard to admit that that's when I started out loud, but what are you gonna do? Sonic Speed Sim is my daily gotcha game. Choice. But the game itself has been no stranger to controversies in like the last few years and honestly throughout the entirety of its existence. Whether it was the age verification stuff, like the community standards and policing issues that a lot of people were raising with the company, but like one that is like more community driven is this thing called the dynamic face update, where to the best of my understanding, where Roblox avatar faces were 2D static PNGs, there has been like a bit of a push in like the last few months where Roblox is like creating new faces that are like have some sort of movement, like where it's tweening, and it has like mixed results in how it looks. And on top of that dynamic faces being added, there's been like a push for like some of these classic looks in the game, you know, the little smiley face emotes that are on it are being retroactively changed so that the version of the face that you got however many years ago will now be like different and have motion to it. The only reason I'm talking about this is because it got so big within the community that it started popping out into like my edges of the internet, and my FYP started feeding me this shit as I got curious. From what I understand, it started pretty slowly yesterday, and then it came all at once that yes, all classic faces and classic heads on the marketplace were being moved over to like the new dynamic system. The earliest thing I saw was like around 2/24, March 23. Fellow Ray said, Roblox has removed the classic faces and classic heads category from the marketplace. The day of reckoning is coming soon. I understand this sounds all a bit dramatic and kind of silly considering it's Roblox and the quality of the skins we're talking about, but bear with me because I am going somewhere with this. You had Roblox creators and like people who work on generated content for the game to like actually use on Roblox tweeting about this like they were about to find out Santa wasn't real or have their parents killed in front of them. Either or, it's basically the same emotional weight. It's happening this week. I can feel it in my bones. The night before the face update, where the faces that you've known for the last decade on Roblox, if you've been playing that long, are bound to change overnight. And given a few hours, this guy seemed to be pretty much correct. Like, you had people in his comments saying, you fucking did this, you doomed us, and like now he's just being made responsible for Roblox corporate's decision. Roblox has released dynamic versions of all classic faces. If you previously owned the 2D version, you have received the dynamic head for free. And to illustrate this point of why this is a pretty obvious downgrade for a lot of people, even if like you don't think the shit on the left over here was anything to write home about, there is like a pretty severe difference in how they look and in how they're gonna function in the game, considering they have animation on them at all. Like, if you paid real Robux for this, like you paid money to get these things. Roblox has released all the 3D variants of the classic faces in the catalog. Probably certain faces that you own will be added to your inventory later. This was apparently confirmed in a dev forum post they made that like this migration to the new versions of the models was being made. And you know, cue the Thanos snap posting about how we're gonna miss what we used to have. I was not really a collector of Roblox skins in any capacity before this, but correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but from what I understand, you still have a lot of the classic faces in your inventory if you bought them like initially, and then you'll get the 3D dynamic version like as they make this update, but they've delisted all the classic faces as options for people to go and buy new. And I think we need to look at some comparisons and player reactions to this before I can get into my wider point. Quick addendum, but I talked to some people who are a little more informed in the situation, and it seems like that if it hasn't been done yet, the plan is to take the original skins out of people's inventories so that you'll only be left with the dynamic version, which plays into the fact that Fortnite kept the versions of skins they released intact even if they released better versions later. That's new information I had after the recording, but keep that in mind if I say anything that contradicts this, because I learned this after I was done recording, but like, that is a huge deal, and I think even more strengthens the comparison I was making to games like Fortnite and CSGO transitioning into CS2. There is an undeniable amount of jank in the way Roblox functions across the board, even if people have made really cool shit within those constraints, but the jank kind of gave it its style, and it's really weird to see this guy's head raised up and not so sunken into his body anymore. Like, I miss that he doesn't look like a dude with his neck sunken into his upper chest and in the modern day. You had some people like even managing to get excited for this update in some way, legitimately who approved of this update, but the guy who is tweeting this had his own reaction like at the jump.
Oh, I'm actually really excited to see what this one looks like.
Why do you got double eyebrows?
It's just a PNG! This is a PNG behind it! It's just a PNG!
There's no fucking depth, dude. They do not have the mouth indents that a cool robot in my profile picture has. I'm sorry, bro. Not everybody was meant to rock the fangs, and Roblox made the decision for you. What will you do about it now is the question. I think like the biggest downgrade that I saw, and to be clear, it seems like this process for Roblox is a work in progress, was what the hell they did to my boy, the Hex Head, who I totally knew about before I saw this tweet making the comparison, and I'm not just pretending I've known him for a long time. The Hex Head had like this unique 3D geometry to it, and that's like what it made it stand out amongst the crop of normal classic faces that are just the 2D PNGs making a set expression that you're stuck with no matter what's happening to you in a video game, no matter how hard you're raging at some kid fucking killing you on whatever FPS clone on Roblox is your personal favorite. They flattened him. They practically cut him in half, dude. Not only did they turn him into half a Hex Head, but they also like flattened out his fucking smile, man. Like what happened to him? Apparently this was like an exception they had to make for like the thing smiling. Like you can't put new faces onto the Hex Head. It's like all complicated Roblox stuff. The shit that I'm not like personally invested in with the situation myself. Like the rollout of this was just sloppy. Like you had people kind of guessing that this was coming later today based off changes made to the store and classic faces being delisted for purchase. But then like when people started getting their hands on them, or at least getting their first sneak peek, they were seeing shit that just looked gross on its own. Like some of the weird before and after comparisons we're looking at just had like really bad clipping issues with the texture that I assume will get sorted out eventually. But like shit like this just looks weird. That's a mouth on top of an already widely large set of lips. That's two mouths at once. Like I have no idea what the hell is happening here. It looks like it could be like an art piece sort of thing that was just done to be avant-garde and some people just have a personal taste for. If I didn't know better, I would say this guy was supposed to have like a weird goatee beard, but from the way people are reacting, that does not appear to be the case. This isn't in the game as far as I'm aware, but it certainly evokes this imagery. And all this is to say that Roblox strikes me in a very unique way with its place among these kind of item for sale games, where especially ones where you can trade the items you have in-game, especially if you spent real-world money on it in some capacity. Like, you had to exchange real-world dollars for Robux to buy these things and then be able to trade them. It's easy to forget because Roblox has such a reputation as a kid's first game, but this thing has been around for 20 years. Roblox first launched in 2006, and a lot of the classic skins that we are having a discussion about today have been around since like 2014, I believe some even earlier. And it made me think about this move in comparison to other games that have like similar skin or item economies. Like, let's take a look at something like Fortnite, for instance. It is a game where you can't even trade the skins that you buy with V-Bucks to other people. You can gift like a new incident of that skin to somebody for more V-Bucks, but you can't like give them one that you've already bought. It's more about building your grand collection of the skins and events that you were there on the ground floor to like buy in the store before they went away, potentially forever. And like a major thing about these skins is that, for the most part, at least as far as I'm aware, Fortnite has never like retroactively changed something about an old skin unless it was really fucking problematic. But even with a guy like Travis Scott, who they did the Fortnite festival thing with, like a custom concert for him, and then he had the Astroworld controversy, the skins stayed in the game. They didn't take it out of anybody's inventory. They just never re-released it. And they haven't re-released a lot of skins for several different reasons. Kratos comes to mind. And the only major changes I've seen them make to items after like they were available for purchase is like emotes, because some of the gestures in them might have been like some eggshells they didn't want to walk on, or things like emotes they might have gotten in legal trouble for, which they mostly smoothed out the details on. Crucially, Fortnite has gotten better at making skins as they have gone on with time. If you compare like the oldest anime-styled Fortnite skins, like the Dragon Ball ones that came out years ago at this point, compared to the ones that they do now, like, they have just visibly gotten better at this style and working in the Fortnite Unreal Engine. And crucially, they never really went back to touch up the old ones, even though, like, some people have asked for that. They left them in the state that they released them in. And with Fortnite, if there was, like, a new costume that, like, a character was going to get, they just issue a new skin where the earlier version that you bought remained the same. The other direct comparison I can kind of draw is how Valve handled the transition from CSGO to Counter-Strike 2, where they were like updating the engine and like they were going to issue a bunch of new shit. And it was a fundamentally different game, but the idea was that all the skins that you had bought in that game and were like able to trade for resale value, you were still able to use in the original way that they were released in CSGO. Even if aesthetically they were just lower poly and looked weird, they were technically the same skin. Now, you can make the argument that Valve does like a bunch of kind of arbitrary changes to the skin market that affects the prices of those things, but at the end of the day, those prices fluctuated all the time anyways, and were never immune to Valve exerting market pressure. But you had access to the same item that you bought, but the item you bought like maybe 10 years ago is technically still available in its original form to you now. And I think the situation is different with Roblox in that it seems like you get to keep your classic face. It's just the new dynamic version is gonna be replacing them in the store from now on. But it feels like a generally pretty unpopular move given like all the reaction. Oh god, I knew it was gonna be basically impossible to do on the older heads, aka, you know, the dynamic face motion that like makes them be able to move in weird tweened ways. All my heads are cooked, LMAO. Why is it flat? Some of the most dramatic music I've heard over somebody like just really tweaking out over the expressions on the Roblox avatar's face. Dude, this shit just moves so funny, man. There's like just something objectively goofier about this happening on Roblox than like any of the other examples you can list about this. What are we doing, LMFAO? Billion-dollar company? I remember there was a time when Robux were worth more than the Russian ruble. Hard to say if those were the glory days of Roblox, but they were certainly like at a sort of peak. You also have weird examples of the expressions just having like these kind of odd tongues hanging out. Like, this dude does not have like a natural line on his tongue. He has like a physical cut that somebody like took a knife to be able to make that. That is a body mod. This guy is hardcore as shit. You had people just more generally joking about how the vibes of the whole thing feel as opposed to the cold hard calculus of what is actually happening. Every Roblox dynamic face just looks like this. Just some fucking weirdly detailed body horror abomination. Like, that is a nutsack in his mouth. That is not a tongue. To be clear, this is not part of the rollout that Roblox recently had, I don't think. It's just a fucking funny example. This particular line of thought that some people have been going down, I think is a little more like conspiratorial, but I find amusing to entertain nonetheless. From Blocks, at this point you have to wonder if Roblox just wants to make the faces ugly so people make memes out of them and they give them free platform advertising. Like, how else do you fuck up this badly as a billion-dollar company? And I don't think that was the explicit intention, because Roblox is a company with a stock price now. It has to worry about the short-term gains and effects of like every micro decision they make. But if we're being serious, like how memeable the original faces were was a large part of Roblox's original reach outside of its active player base. Like, everybody knows the Roblox smile on the left. It just shows up everywhere for whatever reason, whether you wanted it in your life or not. Same with this fucking guy, who to this day I do not know the name of, but do know the contours of his expression down to the crease around each of his eyes. Similarly, the Roblox oof was just a really popular sound effect that YouTubers would use in like videos having nothing to do with Roblox, oftentimes not ever having played Roblox themselves. Mine included. Like, they're all over some of my older stuff from years ago. That got taken out of the game because of like some copyright disputes, and it was like a day of rejoice when it made its way back into the game. So I don't find that line of reasoning completely unfounded. I just don't think it's the main thing. I think they were hoping that these things would just sell out like crazy for new people. That said, I'm a bit of an outsider coming into this one, so if you guys want to school me on any details I got wrong and let me know if any of my hypotheses are like way too out there, just feel free to let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think about the whole deal. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at @withany. That email is in the description if you guys want to send me any video topics. Anyways, piss off.